Welcome to another episode of Power Links with your regular host, Bolanle Oluchi Babalola. The National Integrated Power Project, NIPP, may have truly exited the mode for most of its project intervention, given the record of achievements since it was established in 2004. Our stats in generation of projects is 85%, transmission 90%, and 96% for distribution of projects, as well as gas projects with 90% completion level. You may rightly ask, what is happening with the balance of projects yet to be delivered? Well, that is what we have for you in this edition of the program. But after a preview of the status of the whole project, once again, welcome.
Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is incorporated under the Companies and Allied Matters Act as a private limited liability company fully subscribed to by federal, state and local governments with a mandate to manage the power projects tagged National Integrated Power Projects (NIPP), an intervention scheme to tackle deficit in power infrastructure, thereby increasing capacity across the three value chain. In all, 8 out of 10 power stations have been completed and streamed on national grid, while the balance are at various stages of completion. The power plants include Alaoji 1074 megawatts in Abia State, Yehovbo 451 megawatts in Edo State, Calabar 563 megawatts in Cross River State, Egbema 338 megawatts in Imo State. Others are Olorunshogo in Ogun State, Baren 225 megawatts in Bayelsa State, Omotosho 451 megawatts in Ondo State, Geregu 434 megawatts in Kogi State, and Omoku 225 megawatts in River State. In all, NDPAC has over 110 transmission projects comprising 5,590 MVA of 330 and 132 kV transformer capacity, 3,313 MVA of 132 or 33 kV transformer capacity, 2,194 km of 330 kV lines, 809 km of 132 kV lines, 10 new 330 kV substations, 7 new 132 kV substations, expansion of 36 existing 330 kV and 132 kV substations, and closing the eastern flank of the national grid loop. Over 960 distribution projects, including 295 low-loss high-voltage distribution system projects comprising 3,540 MVA injection substation capacity, 2,600 km of 11 kV lines and 1,700 km of 33 kV lines across all the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, and 4 gas projects. The NIPP power stations will add about 4,774 megawatts of electricity to the national grid network. Many of the value chain projects have been delivered since January 2011.
is a major harvest of projects achieved and high expectations by the present administration for full delivery of balance of the projects. There was the need for the implementation of new strategies and injection of new ideas in conformity with driving the power sector for optimal results under the present administration.
With a clear vision, the managing director and executive directors, after identifying what will make the difference and ensure completion of the balance of projects, hit the road running towards providing leadership and expertise. Among the plans, the organization is working very hard to ensure contractual meets deadline at those in Egbema and Omoku, as the balance of one turbine of Bahrain plant is getting desired attention by the contractor. To throw a presidential weight, Vice President Yemi Osibajo, in the company of the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha, visited the Egbema plant, as the inspection has since produced remarkable results on progress of the project. In the last 1 year and few months of assuming the leadership of the NIPP, the management has come to terms with the need for more engagements with communities hosting infrastructure, where work has not only been halted, but the organization has been taken to court to resolve issues bordering right of way and compensation. One intractable was that of Oranta community in Abia State.
We have a problem in this community in Abia State. You can see deep down in Abia State. And this government is determined to provide light for Nigerians. And as a new team in NDPAC, we've identified some trouble spots, some areas where we have problem spots actually. And then we took it upon ourselves, myself and the Executive Director, Engineering and Technical Services, and the team, to come down directly to the community in Abia State to meet them. A lot of things were not properly done from what we understand in the past, but we promise that this is a focused government. This is a government that relates to the people. We listen to what their complaints are, and I assure you we would meet them to the extent of our ability. There is a court injunction by the community against us for lack of payment of compensation and other demands by the community, and because of that injunction, we are not able to evacuate power from our power plants in Calabar and in Aloji. Put together, that's roughly about 1,000 megawatts sitting idle there. And why would government build 1,000 megawatts? Why would it be lying idle without the people filling it? And we are determined to ensure that the people get the benefit of these investments by having light in their homes. So this is one of the steps we are taking as a company, as a new team in NDPAC, to ensure that our projects are completed and the power, electric power, gets to the people.
The successful resolution of the dispute led to the completion of work along the axis and subsequent inauguration of the long-awaited Ekotech Switching Center in Akwa Ibom State. Power evacuation from a number of plants in the axis to northern part of the country through the southeast was facilitated and enhanced. Similarly, the NIPP engaged communities hosting the Calabar power plant in Cross River State for unhindered operations. In the same vein, the management is looking at the larger picture, extended the olive branch by securing the commitments of state governors to assist the organization address some of the challenges of fast-tracking the completion of balance of projects, with attention on securing the right of way from communities. On the tackling gas to power issues, management has sustained the right drive of ensuring availability to achieve full capacity utilization by its power plants for grid stability. In fact, one of the latest beneficiaries of this initiative is the signing of partial risk guarantee for Calabar Power Station for steady supply of gas.
Improving the human capacity through training is key under the NIPP implementation. In the period under review, and for the first time, management organized a retreat on best practices for staff to get acquainted with the new focus of management.
For the NIPP, the Calabar retreat was strategic. In addition to taking stock of achievements so far, it was also organized towards identifying ways of quick delivery of balance of uncompleted projects and effective management of scarce resources.
We never had an opportunity like this we have had some management meetings at the headquarters with the heads of departments and the EDs and MD, but it has not been like this. And here now, we were able to discuss freely and openly. We spoke our minds, and we had a lot of activities that actually brought out the potential in all of us here. So I also wish to thank all of you, all the participants, for the wonderful contributions made to the success of this event.
There's a need for all of us to redefine ourselves as individuals, not as an organization. I'm not sure that any NBC needs too much of repositioning. If we all reposition ourselves, then we can lift any place. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time. But you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. And the greatest evil you can do to yourself is to fool yourself. So I want to leave you with these words. When you leave here today, make extra effort. You know, that guy didn't speak any English. You don't need to open a dictionary to understand what was said. I need you to make extra effort. There's no age that is too late to change. And that's the only way we can move and move forward.
And when you grow, the environment will fill you. So we're not small people. We should rise above in all these little things, mundane things. We should be able to accept responsibilities where it falls on us. And that is to say, we've learned, we've listened. We should be able to do internal check, start from us. I agree with the ED, extensively when he said the repositioning has to start from us. And I think that is it. You know, in my opening speech I said, we know the output we want to bring out, but how do we put together our input, put ourselves together to deliver? And it has to start with our individual selves, and then collectively we'll be able to achieve what we intend to achieve. We must ensure that what we have learned we are able to implement. I'm sure we've identified new strategies that will ensure that NDPSC makes the required impact. And what is that impact? Significantly improve power supply in Nigeria. And I'm sure after this retreat we'll be very determined to implement those strategies.
The Calabar retreat was a resounding success, with outcomes continuously impacting positively on the activities of the organization. Similarly, as a one-stop solution provider, the NIPP has kept faith with the initiative by the federal government for full participation at the monthly meeting of power sector. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who chairs his exemplary quality leadership on showing the way forward. As a responsible player in the sector and in tune with the engagements for the monthly meeting to go around and ensure participants have a sense of belonging, the NIPP has dutifully taken its turn to host a meeting many times since the maiden edition in Abuja in January of 2016. Similarly, in a bid towards strengthening and stimulating cordial working relationship, the NIPP has been working with the relevant National Assembly committees on power for wise counsel on moving the project forward.
Now, if you think NIPP is only concerned and responsible for the bigger projects in the power sector, we will remind you of the achievements of the present management that will change your perception.
From time, electricity is seen as the exclusive preserve of the city and its people. Planners have overlooked the need of providing this indispensable component of development to the rural areas, leaving them with the sites and hosting of the infrastructure crisscrossing their domains. To show concern for the well-being of the disadvantaged in rural communities, the NIPP, responding to a presidential approval, came up with an off-grid solar solution and inaugurated in Wuna community of Gwagwalada Area Council under the Federal Capital Territory. The system is intended for 20,000 homes under the first phase. The initiative is one that perpetually engages the rural areas to engender full participation by the people.
Representative in many ways of what we see all over Nigeria. Very hardworking, very serious-minded, very committed to their country and to their communities, but lacking in some very important tools for work, lacking in very important facilities to make life easier for themselves. And in November of 2015, I think the conversation actually started about September, the President Muhammadu Buhari, spoke to me about what we could do to very quickly accelerate electrification, especially in the rural areas. We had in mind all manner of different types of projects that we could do to bring electricity to many of our rural communities, to many of our villages. And he was particularly concerned that as we spoke about farming and also education in the rural areas, how would we be able to get maximum, irrigation facilities, maximum facilities for education, all of those kinds of things. How do we maximize these things if we can't get power to those places? Water pumps, irrigation equipment, just about anything requires power. And so we began to think about it and to talk about what we could do. And renewable energy, especially solar power, seemed to be the one way that would be cost effective and that we could deploy very quickly all over the country. And I think that once we took that decision, we were very fortunate also to have met with the UK Minister for Africa at the time. They were launching a scheme called Energy Africa. And it was through Energy Africa that we came across Azuri Technologies, because they had been doing some work in parts of East Africa. So we came together and we began to look for ways of deploying solar systems in villages in Nigeria. And I think there must be something very special about Wuna village, that it became the very first to have that deployment done. This will be replicated all over Nigeria, all over Nigeria. We're starting with 20,000, but I'm sure that we'll ramp up very quickly. We've been talking to the private sector about involving themselves also in this project. We think that as solar power becomes cheaper, and it is becoming cheaper really practically day by day, we'll be able to afford to do even more, to deploy more across the country, especially to those places that are not at the moment served by our grid. The grid is just one, if you like, transmission center. but we cannot use or we cannot take all our power from the grid. And so it's in the next few years, it will not be absolutely important for you to be connected to the grid, because we will be deploying every type of off-grid solution that we can deploy. And we want to do that. We want to do that in the industrial areas. Of course, we have noted that this particular area is an industrial area. It's supposed to be the industrial heartland of Abuja. And we think we can deploy off-grid capacity here so that this place can also benefit from what it was originally designed to be, that is an industrial city. So it's also a job creation opportunity. And of course, it's also an opportunity to improve, especially the technology awareness and skills of young people in this community. So I'm really excited that we now have an opportunity to do something that we ourselves can put together. The technology is not too sophisticated for us, and that's why we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Azuri Technologies to begin local assembly of all of this solar equipment right here. We think that we have the capacity to do it. We think that we can do whatever it takes to be able to manufacture solar technology here, even here in Wuna, within the shortest possible time.
We always welcome your feedback on various media platforms on your screen. And while drawing the curtains on this program, we say thank you for staying tuned to us on Powerlinks, and I am Bolanle Oluchi Babalola.